Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Indiana Football Postgame Show brought to you by the Home Truth Distilling Company in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, right in central Indiana. But we are in beautiful Southern California tonight. Caleb Keller with me, IU grad, and also, are you formerly with TVG, or is this the FanDuel still? Yep. FanDuel TV, thoroughbred racing host, analyst, reporter, if you're a thoroughbred fan. But Caleb lives out here in Redondo Beach, California. But got to see a great game tonight. Coach Shannon, Griffith is with us as well. Indiana comes out to the Rose Bowl and answers a lot of questions with a resounding 42-13 win over the UCLA Bruins tonight. Caleb and Coach, that was a beatdown, but more importantly, it shows Indiana is what Indiana is, and the hype train and all that. It's real. I'm not saying they're going to win the Big Ten again, but what they're doing is real. This is not pretend. It's not smoke and mirrors. They got it going on.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce Curtis Rourke to the Big Ten. He was hot. He started hot. And I love to see the way he orchestrated the passing game. His eyes were perfect in terms of holding safeties and making guys find open spots. His game today was just unbelievable. Miles Cross, what a game he had. Six receptions, 90 yards. The one play he made, a one-handed grab, was just unbelievable. And the offense handled UCLA's pressure package as good as anybody probably ever has, including last year, because they are a team that likes to pressure, and Indiana made them pay for it.
Absolutely. Caleb, how did you enjoy the night? Man, you get to see a IU grad from Indiana, from Southern Indiana, unemployed snobs, but lives out here in California now, has been for a few years. But I'm sure you didn't expect to get to see the Hoosiers play in the Rose Bowl in any situation.
I think we were all pretty confident coming in, and as Coach said with Rourke, the first drive set the tone. Not one, not two, 3 third downs, including that 3rd and 16. He got 24 yards there with Surratt. So I think that Rourke might have put himself in the conversation to get drafted as an NFL quarterback, because they want to know, what can you do when the defense knows you're going to pass? And 9 for 12 on 3rd down for the Hoosiers. He was incredible.
It's solid all night. But those 3rd down conversions and the importance, I can't overstate them, because on one of the drives, they had 2 offensive penalties. Usually you pick up a couple penalties, that's going to kill a drive. But Indiana was able to withstand that and power through it, but they can by converting on big plays on 3rd down with either Rourke to Cross or Surratt or whoever it may be. But they did a wicked job in the passing game. And the offensive line, great protection tonight, Caleb.
And I think that we heard, in terms of the protection, like Coach Shannon said, there was one play specifically, the line was blocking well, but a guy came rolling in for UCLA, and it was Ellison, the running back, that was able to drop the big block to maintain pressure. And I look at the offensive linemen they've had in recent years. They've had some good ones. Matthew Bedford, Benson, Caleb Jones was huge. Those guys were pass blockers. This is a run blocking group. These linemen get out there and run with them. The running backs are picking up blocks. So the protection, this time last year, Indiana had one of the worst offensive lines they've had even in Indiana's history. Now they had a clean pocket the whole game. It was beautiful to watch.
Yeah, the protection coach was lovely. And Curtis Rourke was like a surgeon back there.
Well, and why Coach Signetti liked to get Curtis Rourke, I think, was just perfectly explained tonight. He wanted a guy that had been in the battles and been able to deliver the football on time, to stay in the pocket, have faith in the pass protection. And Indiana's pass pro each and every week has gotten a little bit better. Credit to the kids that have worked hard with that, Coach Bobstead. And they ran the ball effectively enough tonight. because it was tough sledding up front, man. When you've got guys coming from all different angles, you're just not going to get a clear picture in the running game all the time. But they did enough to get some run game. Now, we talk about the penalties. That was the killer tonight, 14 for 127 yards. That will have to be addressed and picked up. But you can't come out of this game with anything but a smile on your face if you're an Indiana football fan, and the team coming out of that locker room with their head high, heading back to Bloomington with a big win and 3-0 on the docket.
Yeah, I sent out a tweet or X, whatever. What do you call a message on?
It's still tweet.
Yeah, I sent out a tweet at the end of the game and asking, how do you get Indiana fans to stay for a football game? You go to USC or UCLA, you go to the Rose Bowl, and you beat UCLA 42-13. The fans stayed the entire time. They waited for the team to come off the field. They waited for Coach Signetti to come off the field. It was just a great night. It was a great environment. It's hard to not be a great environment here in Southern California, but the fans were great too, both sides. It was awesome. But this is a start to what Indiana's doing. Coach Signetti mentioned it in his post-game presser that this was on national TV. People are going to take notice, and that's going to make a big difference for this program and everything that they're trying to do, because they're trying to be where a lot of these guys already are.
And you've been calling for the 6-0, right? And I think that in terms of the game that is going to spark Memorial Stadium, Maryland's going to be a decent turnout. But I'm looking at that Nebraska game with the young, new Patrick Mahomes. They've got a schedule that they can win out to that point. So if Nebraska's undefeated, I'm looking ahead at that Nebraska game as maybe that's the one that totally fills up the bowl at Memorial.
I think that Washington took it on the chin today at Washington State. But I was thinking Nebraska, Washington, Michigan, and Purdue, their 4 of their final 6 games are at home. And they could possibly sell out all of those, but that Nebraska game is going to be fantastic. They're going to have to shore up the defense a little bit, even though they look good tonight. They have moments where they can get picked, and that true freshman quarterback that Nebraska has, he's no joke. He's for real. He looks like he is a seasoned sophomore.
And one thing I wanted to ask Coach is that what I see in this new regime with this offense is deception. Like, they got great motion. They're making you think they're going this way, but they're going that way. And they're really kind of tricking the defense, which is a hallmark, I feel like, of any good X's and O caller on offense.
Yeah, they do a good job on both sides of the ball of getting a team off balance. They did that with Gerbers tonight, and were able to get home on some of the pressures that they wanted to. And also offensively, Shanahan did a great job of giving Curtis outs in his play call. And a couple times you saw that where Curtis noticed a corner coming off the edge and he pulled it and threw it. And that's such a defeating blow to a defense when a quarterback can hurt you when you're trying to do the things that you think you do best. And even on the defensive side of the ball, they had a couple of the iffy calls with the targeting rule. I think West was a horrible call, but that's just me. Pounds' one was legit. But anyway, Indiana held them to only 96 yards rushing and 142 yards passing tonight. And it was just a monumental effort, really, on both sides. And the adversity finally got a chance to creep into tonight, and you saw the kids respond, especially when they lost a couple players on defense. They were able to buckle up and hold UCLA to 3 points.
Yeah, I'll just talk about the penalties for a moment, and specifically the targeting and the roughing the passer, or whatever that was. But targeting, I have no problem with that call if it's correct. What I have a problem with is the penalty. It's ridiculous. If it comes in the second half, you're kicked out of that half. You're kicked out of half of the next game, and it's ridiculous. It's the most. I mean, you could go out and get a DUI and probably not have any more damage than that. I mean, I just think it's way too severe of a penalty, especially it cannot be determined that it's with intent. So why would something that's unintentional be so egregiously punished? I don't understand that. It's not good for teams. Indiana loses 2 guys that they won't have next week. Luckily, they have Charlotte at home in a non-conference game, but Had that been the week after against a Maryland team or someone that just needs that little bit of extra, that could be the difference.
Yeah, I didn't realize you lose the next half of the following game. One thing that I don't think people realize how good the Sun Belt has been in the last couple of years to get Cignetti. Okay, I want to focus on 2 seasons ago. This is the first year that James Madison was in the Sun Belt. 2 seasons ago, you had Marshall. They went to Notre Dame, beat them. You had Appalachian State, went to College Station, beat Texas A&M. You had Georgia Southern, went to Nebraska, beat them. South Alabama was 21-point underdogs. They lost by a point here. You had Troy beat UTSA in a bowl game. UTSA had won 9 games in a row. Old Dominion beat Virginia Tech. All those upsets were in one season for the Sun Belt, and Cignetti and James Madison dominated those quality teams.
Yeah, I think Troy was giving somebody heck today.
Yeah.
I didn't get to see that, but you've been studying up, man. You've been brushing up.
And waiting, man.
He's going to trade in the horses for the pigskin.
I'm watching you and Coach Shannon all the time. Now we're on the show, so you got to be ready to roll.
Got to keep on coming. I hope they play out here all the time, to be honest with you. Coach, you missed the trip, bro. It was now you've not come out to this game. I don't know. It is incredible. The views are incredible here at the feet of the San Gabriel Mountains. Outside, the views are unbelievable. The weather is awesome. The heat went away before we got here, so that was incredible. But want to reset. Don't forget, you're listening to Indiana Football Postgame Show, brought to you by the Hard Truth Distilling Company right there in Brown County. Got to get you Hard Truth stuff, man.
I've heard it. Yep.
It's goods. It's the goods. Caleb Keller with us, an IU grad who is an analyst, reporter, studio host for FanDuel, Thoroughbred Racing TV, and that's just a cool thing in and of itself. When did you graduate from IU?
Graduated from IU 2011, Floyd Central 2007, and I moved out here 2012. So I guess it's my 12th year now with TVG and now FanDuel. I was at the racetrack earlier today. I asked for the early races at Los Alamitos, took the 605 down, and made it by first kickoff.
Double duty. I've known this dude since he was smaller than you could even see on camera.
I like
now
he's
making me look like an intern or something.
I like
What
the
was that,
fact
Coach?
that I like the fact that he's a horse handicapper. There's a guy that's after my heart.
Now, another thing that's really promising about the season right now, and Roar, is how good Taven Jackson was in the spring game and in the limited drives that he had against Western Illinois. I mean, the fact that Curtis Rourke was for sure the guy without having a controversy. Well, the spring game, Taven Jackson had 2 perfect drives. The only incompletion was a drop, and he was going right down the field, hurling it down, shimmy shakes this left and right. So hopefully Rourke maintains the whole year, but at least into the future, if a guy like Jackson is playing that well and not even thinking about coming on the field, the quarterback room is pretty loaded.
Well, and look at the Western Illinois game. He comes in and boom, boom, boom. He looked good in that as well. But Indiana looked extraordinarily good on both sides of the ball tonight. The defense had that. They had a couple of drives where they let UCLA, I think one drive was 75 yards.
Yeah.
But I think that was also one that had one of the big penalties on it. They had them stopped on a 3rd down, I believe, and one of those penalties hit. But it was incredibly fun to watch these Indiana fans. I'm not going to lie to you. There was more fun in these fans than I've seen in Bloomington. And I know that we're in UCLA or at UCLA and the Rose Bowl and all that. But, man, they were digging it, and they stayed till the end. They had a blast. There was a big tailgate out back today or on the north side of the arena, whatever that is. But tons of people out there. So great turnout by Hoosier fans. This is a destination place, of course. But I think a lot of people are starting to believe in this program, Coach, and believe what Cignetti is doing.
Absolutely. And, he's not doing anything that he said he was going to do day one, and that was deliver a team that played fast, physical, and relentless. You saw that tonight for 4 quarters. And I think he does a great job of maintaining the kids in terms of in the present and not worrying about things that are in front of you or behind you, but the now. And they're going to have to do that this week. They're coming home on a late flight. They got a short week in terms of preparation when you come from these West Coast games, and he'll fight the complacency this week. And I guarantee you, this will be a tough week for him just because he's going to be on them about don't let a team like Charlotte fool you and think that you're just going to have a walk in the park. You're going to have to come out each game and prove it again and again and again, because that's what good teams do.
Well, he talked about that at the postgame press conference already, that enjoy this one tonight, but tomorrow you're hungry and humble again because they've got to get back to it because there's stuff that they have to clean up. Let's be honest. We're 3 weeks in, and looking at the Big Ten, there are some teams that are surprising, man. I don't know what Michigan State's going to end up being like. I haven't seen any scores from today, so pardon me if somebody got beat. I know Purdue got pounded, so boom, we can kick them out. But Michigan State surprised me a little bit. Michigan drops. What did Oregon do with Oregon State?
Oregon one-handedly.
Okay, there you go. So Oregon kind of.
Isn't the Michigan game even winnable?
Oh, absolutely.
You got to walk on.
There's one game.
You go the draft.
There's one game on the entire schedule that I see is a probable loss for Indiana. That's Ohio State. But Michigan is absolutely. They're all winnable games now, and that's something that I don't think that I've been able to say for maybe ever for an Indiana.
Michigan won by today against Arkansas State. So, I don't think Michigan is the Michigan that they were a year ago. So that for sure. But Ohio State's a tough looking team. But, like Signetti will say, the mindset is let's get on this plane home and get ready for the Charlotte 49ers because that's the most important game in front of them.
Did you see anything besides the penalties? Did you see anything? I don't want to say negative, but that wasn't a positive tonight.
What was the positive tonight is the first time they faced some adversity. Okay, and especially on defense. And the kids that came in and to replace Towns and CJ West stepped right in and played hard. So I think they addressed the adversity concept of being ready to go no matter what, because you're a play away from playing, and they didn't let that affect them. So a little adversity, that's the first time they faced it, because the first 2 weeks, let's face it, they were more dominant than the teams that they were playing. So tonight they had a team across from them that could be a problem, and they faced some adversity there in the second half, first half again, but I think they met it with the way they like to meet it with is next man up and keep playing hard, and they did that.
It's going to be interesting next week, Caleb, when the AP Top 25 comes out, and I'm not sitting here saying Indiana's going to be right, blah, blah, but they're going to get votes. I don't see how they don't get votes, so I'm just curious to see what the thinking of the national media is, because it's been hard. It's going to be hard to change the conception of a lot of people when Indiana, let's face it, has been Indiana. And I've been saying this is not your grandfather's, it's not your father's, it's not even your older brother's Indiana football program. This is different, and I believe in what Kurt Sinetti's doing, not as far as I'm supporting him, just from visual, from what I see, what I know is going on with them. And this is for real, and it's pretty cool. And it's going to be fun watching Indiana fans get behind a football program at Indiana.
And if you got the Phil Steele magazine this year, which has a zillion stats in it, Phil Steele, an unbiased view of Indiana, was calling for this huge projection forward. So Phil's got this computer. And last year, and his computer is obviously very accurate. Last year, Indiana on offense scored 23 a game. His computer was calling for 30 this year, a full touchdown. Last year on defense, Indiana gave up 30, and his computer was calling for 24. He had him as the fourth most improved team. He had him as the second best schedule in terms of getting easier from last year. So if you look at the Phil Steele guy, I mean, he's all over India having this huge jump forward this year.
You waited now to tell me that? I could have.
You've already got your 6-0 down. 6-0.
I know, but I didn't have all that, man. I could have put some FanDuel money, some bets down.
Now, one last thing about Sig. 5 years at James Madison. We know he had a great record. 2 times in 5 years, he lost a game by over a touchdown. That's it. In 5 years, just twice, a team was able to beat him by more than a touchdown.
That's crazy. And everything that's been said about him is still going on, and he's doing it at Indiana. There was those questions at the beginning of the year. Well, he hasn't beaten Nebraska yet. He hasn't beaten Michigan or Ohio State. Doesn't matter. He's doing what he set out to do, and this team is showing the progression they need to show. And you're right, the schedule could not have been, I've said this 1,000 times, hand-selected out better than for Indiana, because it gets just the right amount tougher as it goes along. But it's going to give them a great opportunity to be bowl eligible before they play their 6th or 7th game of the season. Crazy as it may sound, it's true. But Next up against Charlotte, Coach, what are you looking for?
Well, again, they're going to play a team that they're better than the other team on paper. That's just a fact. Charlotte is still a team that's still trying to find themselves as a program, and they're pretty young in that status. But, at the end of the day, it's about getting that preparation to make yourself one step better than you are tonight. And to do that, you have to have a great week of practice and preparation, and not come out and think that you're just going to walk out and flip the light switch on and get a win against Charlotte. So again, I like the mindset that this team has. I think it was on display tonight. And I do think this is a team that has the ability to do what everyone thinks they can do up leading into that week 6 or that game against Nebraska with the bye week.
All right, Caleb, we got the ponies coming up. When do you work again?
So believe it or not, Jim Coyle today at Churchill Downs was the first Kentucky Derby points race for next year. A horse named Jonathan's Way got the win. Looked pretty nice doing it. So they've already given out 10 Derby points for next year. And I'm going to be back coming to Keeneland in October, Thanksgiving at Churchill Downs. And we'll ramp up to the Breeders' Cup, which is going to be in San Diego this year, November 1st and 2nd. But got to say, I love the show. Listening to it all the time, every single day. Put on the podcast. More like when I wake up, it's already loaded there into Apple and iTunes. So I certainly appreciate that. But you got some of the best guests on there, great sponsors, and I'm a big fan.
We appreciate you, brother. Glad you come out. Glad to see you. Coach, it's been a good night, man. It was fun. It's been a fun day all the way around. It was a great experience for the fans out here. I think they enjoyed it, and they had fun. But this is going to kind of light a fire, too, I think. I don't know what, Charlotte is going to be Charlotte, but there's a groundswell. It's growing. And I'm going to be very interested to see how that translates into the butts in the seats at the next game.
Absolutely. And the students should be sitting there first and ready to go, because I'll say this right now, fans make a difference when you get into games that it's nip and tuck, because they make a big difference against a team that's coming into Memorial Stadium when they're loud and they can show up and support Indiana, because these kids deserve to have a full house, regardless if it's Charlotte or Nebraska. They've played that way, and it's time for that to happen. And there's really no excuse other than you're not wanting to do it, and that's being lazy. So get your butts in the stands, I guess, Saturday.
Well, man, I am looking forward to it. I'm not going to say I'm looking forward to Monday, because there's going to be a big old carryover from getting, what's the word I'm looking for when you get all jet lagged. I'm not going to be looking forward to that, but I'm still looking forward to Monday and getting things going, just getting back in the swing of things. Great time out here in Pasadena. For those that made it, I guarantee you had a great time. For those of you that didn't, man, you got to think about it next time. As Indiana will be playing USC at some point, and they may not be here for another 4 years again at this stadium again. Who knows? But it was an absolute blast. I cannot thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Of course, Hard Truth Distilling Company. Without Hard Truth, there is no post-game show. So make sure you're checking out our sponsors and supporting them, man. That's how we bring this content to you. Thank you so much to Coach Shannon. Appreciate you as always, man.
You too, brother. I'm heading to Virginia tomorrow, so be thanking me, because I'll be driving.
Well, be safe travel. And big thanks to Skylar. Appreciate you as well, man. Most importantly, to each and every one of you guys again, we love you and thank you so much. That's going to wrap it up from the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California, as Indiana wins, and they win big, 42-13 over the UCLA Bruins. They go into week number 4, 3-0. And we'll be back on Monday. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Oh, brother, that was fun. What a game.
Well, he didn't end it.